Kevin is here today from Sapirus. I was incredibly excited upon discovering that this product existed, thanks to Jose, who introduced me to it. And thought to myself, I thought people on MDG Premium have to see this. And I'm gonna let Kevin jump in and tell us a little bit about himself, and where he's from and how he came to our interesting little industry.
Sure. Yeah. I wouldn't call myself the Kevin. I think I'm just Kevin.
Today you are.
Hey, Jose. Good to see you.
Hello, Kevin. How you doing, man?
Good. Congrats on the new launch.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I guess a bit about my background. I actually came from the lab myself. So I did my PhD in diagnostics, specifically lab on a chip microfluidic stuff for point of care diagnostics. Before then working in a liquid biopsy startup company over in Europe, actually, for or as their chief operating officer. So I actually got involved a lot with the regulatory and notified body stuff when I was down there. And before it was updated. And so you can imagine all the MDR and IVDR updates and stuff happening there. This was years ago. And then that was pre-COVID, and then post-COVID, came back to Canada, and then founded Sapirus and brought it to market. And Sapirus, in short, is the most actionable market intelligence tool there is for MedTech. And our primary user base are our MedTech service provider commercial teams, where what it solves for is actionable market intelligence that they don't want to spend a lot of time sifting through databases, the internet, to get market visibility into the medical device world, IVD world, and all the changes happenings in there. That's just super short, I guess, summary. If you want a detailed explanation of where I came from, I actually just had a podcast on the MedTech experience, where I got the opportunity to actually chat about my past in Cambodia and all that stuff, if you're interested in that. But yeah, that's a small plug. I'm not going to bore you with my background there.
Well, what are you going to teach us today?
Yeah, good question. So Sean invited me on here because he thought you guys would be interested in seeing the platform and seeing what Sapirus can do, and the market intelligence that we have, and how the tool is built, and how it can be useful to some of you folks on the call here. So yeah, I'll be diving into the tool a little bit, and yeah, just talking about the MedTech industry and trends as well, because we just put out a financial report on our website. Actually, it's free, where we took the whole 2024 MedTech market data out of our platform. We spoke about trends in financing and clinical trial pipeline and product pipeline, where those fundings are being distributed and projected to be spent in 2025, which is an awesome read if you're into that type of stuff. So
You have a platform, like a demo to show us?
Yeah, we have a demo to show you guys if you're interested.
Take the screen and
All right.
show us things.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let me just show you here. Actually, before I share my screen, Jose is actually a client and user. Jose, do you want to, I guess, chime in just a couple words on, I guess, how you're using it right now, and maybe that could set the stage for the
Yeah, it's
Maybe
a product. I mean, I think I was sold on it in part. Oh, what's up?
Maybe you share your screen and show us a practical application of how you're using it, if it's not proprietary.
Yeah, let's let Kevin do it first, but yeah, I'm happy to show mine later too, just to kind of show you specifically how I do it. But yeah, what I like about it is that it's specifically designed and optimized for really a lot of the people on this call, which are service providers to medical device companies. And so it shows you things like, hey, you can set up filters, and you can see like like with specific things. Like, so for example, for us, we're very focused on companies that develop software for medical devices. And so we can set up filters for that and see if there have been any recent events. Like, did somebody just raise funding? Did somebody just attend a conference, or somebody going to a conference? Is, somebody just get a patent, issued, things like that. And so you can create little triggers for you so that when you reach out to these people, you have, something very specific about them to say. So it's not just a pure cold email or cold LinkedIn message or cold call. It's more like, hey, just saw that you guys closed your Series A round. Congratulations. And you can just gather intelligence on a potential lead in an efficient way. And you can set up things where it'll send you emails on a daily or weekly basis, giving you these signals, and that kind of thing. So, and it also, even though there's certain things that you can do on LinkedIn, it just makes it a little bit more efficient for you. Like, for example, you can look at the companies and see in a single place all of the key players there, who they are, and so, yeah, sure, you can go on LinkedIn and search by company, but here it's showing you who those people are, and at the same time showing you, hey, this company raised capital 3 months ago. They just they just finished the clinical trial, 6 months ago, stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
But I do,
Thanks for
Kevin.
that, Joe. Yeah. Thanks for that, Joe. Yeah. So, yeah, Joe summarized like one use case of the tool. But I'll just walk you through the platform here quickly. And so, so we designed this tool not as just a static database or just some sort of contacts tool. We really designed it as like your virtual assistant in researching the landscape of MedTech, right? And so every single data point here, an event and market trigger that you're seeing here that's being summarized. So here's a research result that's come through against Alvertex Medical, right? This is all action towards medical device IVD software as a medical device company, right? So we centralize your focus into only MedTech relevant insight. And so it's predefined already. So any company with a red dot is a medical device company, right? Or a MedTech company. And so the next layer here, and it's AI driven, we're able to then segment market insights into these color-coded events, which we call sales triggers. And these sales triggers are capturing different stages of product development, company milestone development, research development, clinical development. And so when I look at, for example, development milestone activity, this is showing you in the market right now, companies from US, companies from Europe, with recent activity that came in today in real time about their product development milestone, right? And so here's a future plan related to this software as a medical device company, AI-enabled digital oscilloscope. And they're saying they want to make it available in the US market during the 3rd quarter of this year, right? And so this insight is summarized from, in this case, a PR Newswire event. And so as a business leader or a business developer that's trying to take action on these types of opportunities, you want to cut down your time in which you're processing intel and data versus the time that is being spent on actual sales-driven actions. And so that maximizes sales efficiency. And so our AI has then identified this as a future plan trigger. For certain service providers, this is more important than others. For example, we spoke about money in the commercialization space, right? And so a commercial service provider would see this as a leading signal to be able to do outreach to this company at this moment in time before they then commercialize it in the US and make it available at that point in time. Here's another insight here around regulator interaction. And so this company here out of Finland it's a MedTech company also. They have announced that they just received the long-awaited CE mark, right? And so this trigger mean different things to a regulatory service provider versus a commercial or a CRO or a clinical.
Can you open their profile? Click on the name.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're taken to the company description where this description is dynamically generated and refreshed every 30 days on the most up-to-date intel on that company.
Kevin, may I ask some questions?
What's that?
How long have you been around? How old is the company?
Yeah, so Zapirus has been around for about 4 years now.
How many, if you're able to share, how many customers do you have, paying customers?
Oh, in the hundreds of customers.
How many employees do you have?
As a company, we're pushing 100 right now as a company.
I'm curious, what number employee are you?
I was number 20 something earlier. Yeah.
When do you do business development for them?
For who's them? Sorry.
For Zapirus.
Oh, so I did in the early days. So I'm the person that, so the way we run the company is in divisions. And so we have products in the biopharmaceutical space, the MedTech space, patient advocacy space, and we run them as separate companies within a bigger company brand, Lumery. And so I run the MedTech division and developed the initial data set for this, sold this product in the early days. So think KFC and Taco Bell, right?
Okay.
Owned by Yum Brands, different bottom
Sure.
line.
Yeah. So when you talk about the value proposition of what you're selling, to whom this provides what? I'm trying to get a sense of what do you replace? Like if I have you, then I'll no longer have to what?
Great question. So for MedTech service providers, sales and marketing teams, if they have Zapirus, they can get rid of piecemeal tools like Sales Navigator, PitchBook, ZoomInfo, Apollo, and they can just have Zapirus and Salesforce. And that'll provide every piece of market intelligence for MedTech that you'll need to be able to scale out your business development and marketing.
Jose, let me ask you to come off mute. How long have you been a customer and what did it replace for you?
Yeah, just a couple months. And it just makes the process more efficient, right? So I hate incoming cold emails and calls, and I don't love doing cold outreach. And so for me, what it provides is an efficient way of figuring out companies that maybe something just happened where they might be in the market for help on cybersecurity, for example, and to be able to reach out to them with just like good intelligence on them, rather than I learn about a company and I'm going to go on Google and search for them, and then I'm going to go on LinkedIn and search for them, and then I'm going to go on, other places and do search. It's just like, okay, in a single place, I can get a lot of information about them and then reach out. So kind of the market intelligence before doing a warm outreach. And then on the other hand, it's like just alerting me to a company I should know about. So if I already know about a company, it's a single place where I can get a lot of intelligence on them. And if I don't know about them, it's a signal. I can set up filters so it'll give me a signal to say, hey, here's a company that just closed funding and they're doing a medical device that includes software. So, they're probably going to be in a position to hire us to help them with cybersecurity. So now I know about them, and now I also have a single place where I can go and get the intelligence to do a custom warm outbound message to them rather than just doing a cold email blast.
Thinking about, a smaller firm, I call yours among a smaller firm, that you have to make choices about where you're spending your budget. Without sharing absolute, dollar amount, when you think about the money you're investing in this tool versus what you were doing, because I'm thinking a Google search is free. I don't know if you have LinkedIn premium where you could have done stuff like how much time are you saving versus how much are you spending? And I'll ask that question. And separately, is there something like, if I didn't have this tool, I never would have found this? Like, how incremental is this versus just this is more convenient?
I think, yeah, I think as Kevin would tell you, I think a lot of this stuff can be done if you're willing to put in extra time. So for me, it's like, because most of the stuff is just coming out of the public sphere. But for me, it's just driving efficiency. And I think the cost, like again, I don't want to disclose
Right,
specifically,
you don't have to.
Kevin do that. But I think the cost is very reasonable for the time savings. And
Okay.
maybe, and it's not just the time savings, I'd say it's also just alerts that I just probably wouldn't have gotten from other means. Where yeah, maybe I could have invested in setting something up so that I would get those alerts. But this just saves me all that effort. So yeah, I'd say it's an efficiency driver. And I think for the cost, it's definitely worth it.
What I'm hearing is this is a nice to have, not a must have.
I mean, sure, but a lot of things are like that in marketing, right? I mean, because there's so many different options that you have to do outreach, and in sales, because it's helpful with marketing. It's more, I guess, probably even more of a sales tool than a marketing tool. So yeah, there's lots of different tools that you can go out there and use. I think yeah, I mean, I think it's just, it's an
Yeah.
important tool to have in your arsenal. I think it's helpful.
So
Yeah, I guess the analogy that I can think of right away, it's like, what's everybody using right now is their phone.
Did you say your phone?
Yeah, what's your phone? Is it a smartphone or is it a Nokia?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
Okay.
smartphone.
We have
Yeah, okay.
most of
So
us have smartphones, sure.
right. So at which point did you determine that was a need to have versus a nice to have? To
When
make
I
that, like
got
you can
lost,
call,
right?
you can make calls or texts on a Nokia phone, but
Yeah.
there's other things you could do with a smartphone that you can't do on a Nokia phone. Yeah.
GPS. I am geographically challenged.
Me too. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. I would get
Yeah.
lost without it.
okay.
It's a good example though, because we used to have just the Magellan or whatever, those separate GPS things, and we'd have like, a separate, yeah, you had a laptop, you could access the internet. So you got all these kinds of things. It's really just helpful to have it all in one place.
Yeah, and I think just jumping into the sorry, Sean, go ahead. I think you want to say something.
So I was hoping that we could give a concrete example to Joe and everybody on this call, which is around building a prospect list for 10X. And so we're doing an event in Orange County in Newport Beach, May 7th and 8th. And we want more funded startups to attend the event. And
Sure.
so what we're going to look for is we're going to look for anybody in the LA area, anybody in Southern California, then we're going to maybe go to Northern California, then maybe we're going to go to within a 2-hour flight of um, of the event, and we're going to say, let's find startups, that meet the qualifications that we're looking for, that have some money to spend, that have a certain number of employees. And then we're going to build a list out from that to look at who can we invite to this event and how do we decide that. So we might look at, have they attended other events, you know? And one of the things that's really interesting is that they do conference attendance is one of the signals.
Really? That's interesting.
So what you're able to determine is, does this company spend money on going to conferences?
That's really interesting. Yes, please. I'd like to see that.
Sure, we're happy to jump into that. Let me just share one thing. Just because Zapyrus is a full sales system, I think it's helpful to see this diagram here, just because we're not going to be able to cover everything all in one. And so what Jose described was some of the sales execution capabilities that Zapyrus is offering to him directly as when he's doing sales action. So finding more qualified MedTech companies at the right time and automating that that sales intelligence trigger to his email inbox. And so that's for smaller teams. It's really helpful to make that more efficient. We have enterprise clients that take on the whole suite of Zapyrus, where we have enrichment data to help them identify their total addressable market and then score them down to what their serviceable market looks like against all their service lines. And then enrich that data of companies with total funding in the past 3 years, R&D spend, revenue, headcount, therapeutic area of interest, medical technology types they're working on, to then get a clean, tight account-based marketing list, the one that Sean alluded to through the criteria, and then assign it to a team of 15, 20 sales reps and marketing reps to then go off and take Zapyrus triggers to then act on and initiate that sales action. And then marketing teams to be able to then drive a very targeted LinkedIn advertisement campaign only to cardiovascular companies that are working on stent technologies for their service line. So it can do a lot, which is yeah, jumping into one use case might not be the best way to go. But let me just share my screen here and just describe what Sean is talking about. That's exciting. So we have this mapping tool where we can actually go into different regions in the globe, and it'll dynamically kind of populate MedTech companies in that area. So Sean, you mentioned LA is an area you're interested in?
Yeah.
Okay. So each one of these dots are active MedTech companies right now in that region, right? And active in the past year with critical events on market, right? So one criteria that you mentioned, Sean, they need to be funded, right, as a company. So all we have to do is type funding. And then we could select what kind of funding are we looking for from these companies, right? Do they have to have any funding, NIH grant funding, funding in this calendar year, or funding in the previous calendar year? Like, what are we trying to look for here? Any funding?
Organizations that received at least 1 million in funding.
In
Probably
the previous
year.
last year, right? Because it's only February. Okay, cool. So in the previous calendar year. Okay. So now it dynamically populates and only shows you the active MedTech companies that receive more than $1 million in this area, right? And then you mentioned you want to segment it down to startups, right? So maybe employee size. So let's just take a look at employee size. Okay. What is the range that you're looking at? 1 to 49. Okay, great. Awesome. So then that narrows it down even further, right here. Any other criteria you want to drill down to before we generate the list of these companies?
Did any of them go to any conferences? Can we find that out?
Yeah. All we have to do is say, have they gone into any conferences?
Participation. Yeah, click on that.
Yep. Click on that. And so now these are the companies that have gone to conferences in the past year.
And it will show you which ones they attended.
Yeah, we can show that in the timeline view, right? And so we could show you when we switch back to timeline view, it'll take a snapshot of this geographic area, and it'll show you 10 days ago, Lineage Cell Therapeutics, which is out of that region, right, is going to a clinical stage company, present at the Oppenheimer 35th Annual Healthcare Life Sciences Conference, right? And that's on February 11th, which has already happened. Here's a month ago, AF Symposium 2025. Dara Biosciences, Women's Health Series,
Very
43rd
smart
annual.
insight, Sean. Well done.
And so, yeah, that's where you can take it to the event level, and to Jose's point, he then can action on this very specific reference point.
Someone like Jose can make a point of going to that event to meet up with them if they're a hot prospect for him.
So what I think is also interesting is that you can do clinical research stage on companies, and you can also do regulatory events. So a lot of times you can find information on companies that are planning on doing a 510(k). You can find companies that are planning on doing a CE mark. There are companies that have already received their CE mark. There's all sorts of stages that you can find the companies at. So one of the things I talk with my clients about is what is the ideal stage for you to interact with the company? And, they always want to get involved as early as possible, whether it be in the clinical strategy or whether it is developing the QMS or what have you. But you can actually tell where these companies are. You can tell if they have the money to hire you in many cases. You can tell how active they are. And if you click on Brainscape, for example, at the top and the first example here, and then what you do is you go through to the LinkedIn connections, and then you're able to see the people that are on LinkedIn and connect directly with them. So for me, the workflow that really works really well with Sapirus is the ability to immediately find and reach out to people that I want to be connected with. So a lot of times what I'll do is if the company is larger and you open up the tab, the LinkedIn tab, you can type in a keyword such as, PMCF or, post-market surveillance or something like that, and then find the correct person within the company LinkedIn uh, to connect with. So, for example, we were promoting a orphan device webinar, and Kevin helped me develop a search query, a Boolean search query, which was fairly complex because a lot of companies don't indicate that they're in the orphan device arena. So then you go and you look at the kinds of technologies that are being used in orphan devices, you type those in, and then you type in the geographic location, and you're like, I want to invite companies in Europe that are developing, stents or whatever, to this event. And then you go and you find their appropriate regulatory person, and it's amazingly easy to connect with people when you know something about when what you're offering directly speaks to the need that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really powerful point, because what we like to say is we enable you the data and insights to be hyper personalized in your client engagement. And so with the sea of new AI tools and bulk kind of generic sales and marketing tools out there, it's going to crowd your prospective clients' inboxes, communication channels, which is high level pseudo personalization stuff. Where you can separate yourself is taking this intel, pairing it with your industry knowledge, and then your outreach and engagement becomes hyper personalized towards that potential client, right? Knowing that, they're looking to raise a Series A financing through to FDA approval, right? And explore new applications for their device. That tells you something if you're going to work with them on a regulatory strategy or a reimbursement strategy, right? And if they just got a successful human trial here as a milestone. That tells you something about the stage that they're at as well. Yeah, that's a great point on that. So here, to Sean's point on the staging here. So we've built in through our machine learning the ability to look at future activity that's being announced and captured by the company. And so what you're seeing here is I've narrowed it down to anything related to future clinical milestone announcements. And so you're seeing here all these companies across the globe that are announcing, in this case, you know, they want to conduct their phase 2A study. This company out of Israel just closed on $12.7 million of preferred seed financing and establishes U.S. presence to support clinical and commercial activity. So they want to complete their pivotal study with this funding round for their system. Okay. And then that's when you can take action on that.
Hey, Kevin, I know one feature that I thought was really cool is the ability to sort of see who is going to be at conferences. Do you want to showcase that? Because the nice thing about that is that you can then, like if you're going to be going to a conference, you can see not only the companies that are attending that might be relevant to you, but also in the same place, get some intelligence on them. Again, so you can reach out to them, not just with a cold message, but something more specifically designed for them.
Yeah, I'm just going to use a smaller conference here just to help you guys out. So, there's sorry. There's a conference that happened here, Project MedTech Startup Symposium, which is where Say and I met, right, in Houston. So let's just use this conference here.
They're friends of ours.
So,
they're part of the MDG family.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So here you're able to say, well, I want to plan for this conference, and I want to be able to speak to MedTech companies that are going to be there. And so we've consolidated that in a single hashtag to show you all the different companies and the people from those companies that are going to be at that show. In addition to that, you can then cross-reference with what you're looking for in terms of the types of companies. So we mentioned startups, right? So maybe we want to see companies that are only between 1 to 49 employee sizes. Great. So now that's narrowed it down from 36 to 29, right? And very quickly, you're able to get a tight set of prospects here that would be a potential fit based on your selection criteria there. You can also select funding and then filter out for the ones that have received any funding this year or past calendar year. Okay, now you're narrowing down to 10, right? And then from here, you can generate a list of these companies and start your intelligence research to then book the right meetings for the right project. So you can generate this list of companies. You can go to your list now and then search this entire list of companies only for activity that may be relevant for you. So you can reverse search a pre-qualified set of companies for actionable insights that you can drill down. So for example, one of those companies 2 months ago received this award, financing award, that was at that show, right? And you can do this ahead of the show and pre-book meetings knowing that you're going to be there so that you can land 10 meetings before you even get there and know exactly what you're going to be talking about because they've accepted that meeting based off of your very targeted specific outreach in reference to their FDA submission here that you're saying we can probably help with that submission process, right?
One thing that I like that Claudia showed me yesterday was that you can change the output columns on the list. If you go back a screen, to
Yeah.
list, and then you modify columns. You can actually say all of the things that you want in here. And I didn't realize this until yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's true. We have a lot. You can actually enrich this data for these sets of companies around, you know, if they're working on implantable devices or not, if they're in the cardiovascular space or infectious diseases. What is actually their total funding in the past 3 years, let's say? Have they reached clinical studies ever in the past? What are their total active number of clinical studies they have in their pipeline? These are startups, so they're not going to have any publicly available R&D or revenue coming out of here. You can get pretty granular, you know, like regulatory approved in the US. Do they have a product approved in the US before? Approved in Japan? Commercialized in the US? That gets you to better understand your prospect here. And as you can see, because we've already pre-filtered them down to the ones that are funded, you can see all of them have some level of funding, and so you can start to segment and prioritize them accordingly. So implantable device would then need to go through clinical. Cardiovascular, they've reached clinical studies, and they actually have 2 active studies right now going on. Right? But they have not yet commercialized or approved in the US. Or Japan, or commercialized in the US, right? So they're at that stage where they're just looking to get their product to market, but they've hit clinical, right? And you can see their pipeline there, and the dollar amount. Yeah.
I'd like to hear from someone who's not spoken, someone who serves medical device companies. Do you see an application? Is there something you'd like Kevin to look up for you, just to kind of get a sense of how it would work for you?
Hey, Joe, if I could jump in.
Of course.
So although, you know, we're always looking for medical device companies that might need development work and manufacturing, would this help me in locating those companies that may be looking for support on development engineering and or contract manufacturing for electronic medical devices?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of clients that are in that space. Are you talking about prototype design stage, or are you talking about large scale commercial manufacturing? And
Both, you know, I mean, literally from the conceptual stage doing development engineering, or then straight through to DFM for manufacturing, and then also plus contract manufacturing as well.
Okay. And what technology type would you be manufacturing for?
We use both therapeutic. We develop both therapeutic and diagnostic electronic medical devices.
Okay. And in what therapeutic areas would you be?
Usually they're energy therapies, things like
Okay.
ultrasound, TENS, radio frequency therapy, those type of things.
Okay, perfect. Let's just do that as an example. And so let's find you a new prospective client within, let's say we'll try to do it in less than 60 seconds. How about that? That you've never seen before. All right, cool. Okay, we'll do that. So I'll just type in electrical, and we've built in some smart searches here. Here's all electrical based device company activity. Would that fit your definition?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll search that right now. Okay, so here, radio frequency, you mentioned, right?
Right.
Cathode ablation technology, right?
Right.
Okay, so at which stage would you start to engage with this type of company?
We're
For a
usually better off with an early start, either a startup or next phase.
Okay, so what if they're in the preclinical stage of development? They're before clinical studies. Would that be a
Yes,
good?
that would
Okay.
help. Yes.
So we'll just cross-reference it with they have to be in the preclinical stage. Okay. Okay, so these are, yeah, so their future milestone is to do a preclinical animal testing on their ventricular assist device. Here's one that is looking to do a proof of concept.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this was 15 days ago. Do you know about OrthoSense out of Switzerland.
No, that looks like it wouldn't apply.
Oh, it wouldn't apply, you saying?
Possible, let me see proof of concept.
Okay, so
No,
let's
it may, it depends on where they are with their development work.
okay, so let's just look into here. Orthopedic recovery through real-time data communication from implants. Okay, they've got $2.2 million last year, and they don't have an approved product yet. There's no.
Right, yeah, so that's a possibility.
Okay, great. So then you would then take this funding announcement, you know they're funded, you know they're early here, and then you would reach out to them
Got it, interesting.
through here. Yep. So that's within 60 seconds or so.
Yeah, very interesting.
So you can actually then just generate a list of all these prospects and get all 325 of them,
Okay,
right? Once you have all 325 of them, you can then further qualify them for the stage of development, right? That we're talking about. So employee size, maybe their founded date, so you can understand like how far off from inception. Electrical stimulator, like if they're working on an electrical stimulating device. And yeah, let's just do their funding in the past 3 years. Now you can be more targeted in which companies you want to be going after here, right?
I wonder.
okay. I can't say who, but I just saw one of our customers on there.
Oh, okay. Well, great. So that means this list has the same profile
Yeah.
of customers against new ones that you don't know about, right? So
Yeah, very interesting.
so then you can track the intelligence of this automatically. So now that you have your tight, here are all my high value prospects, because I know they're all funded. So I'm going to save it as a feed and say, I want to know about what's going on with them every single day. And I want to wake up with my coffee and just get a scan of who to go after every single day. And that intelligence will land in your inbox. And now
So
you've just tracked your prospects. Yeah.
here's an interesting thing. So I implement quality management systems, virtual quality management systems for medical devices. And right now, pretty much 99% of my business is word of mouth. How would you find prospects for me to connect with? Because it's not, there isn't like it's kind of, I'm not like development, like, oh, they just got funding, because you can have funding but not be ready for a QMS. You know, you might be still in that early design control. What would you recommend for somebody like myself?
Awesome. Are you a one-person shop, or do you have help?
I have a team of, I just hired an assistant, so I now have a team of 6 people.
Okay, awesome. So I think you can use the Papyrus in 2 ways. One for marketing, and then the other for direct sales, right? And so we would input criterias for, if it sounds like you would engage with them quite early on for
Yes.
quality management systems,
That
right?
is the most successful model. The most successful model is when they start their prototyping. If they bring in a QMS and start to sprinkle the QMS in, they
Awesome.
actually spend less money.
Awesome. So we're just going to search for companies that are in the prototype and design stage here. Right? Okay.
Yep.
So here's a company out of the US. This was announced yesterday. Advancing fundraising efforts. They're going to focus on securing additional funding to accelerate product development and clinical research. Early
Wow.
enough.
Now, does it actually include a contact, or like, here's some people you could reach out to on LinkedIn, or what's the next step on?
Yeah, so the next step, click into the company, right? Just validate that they are a startup. Okay, so 5 people, right? And then the contact bit here is the LinkedIn connection here that you can come in here. And the salesperson on your team can actually just engage through LinkedIn if they wanted to, without any other additional connection, right?
Oh.
Or when available, we would have contact searches in here as well. But typically startups are super stealthy. They may not have readily available emails and phone numbers in the public space. We do have a best guess generator. So I'm just trying to find here, this person here, right? Daniel Stonko. So I'm just gonna copy his name. I'm just gonna punch it in here, right? Even though we don't have email. I just want to say, okay, now show me. Go and test out all the different variations of email domains, and then do a bounce check to see if any of them are valid for me, even though it's not available in the publicly. So it's going to go and do a bounce check. Okay, and now it's validated that this email went through. This email information went through. And so it's first initial and last name combination from this company. So I'm just going to copy this. And then now I'm going to drive my sales outreach with these specific insights that I'm going to then propose QMS work.
Do you like, I'm actually very interested because can I schedule a one-on-one with you to kind of, figure out how to set, because that's what
he loves that kind of question.
Well, the problem is like I don't have a lot of time to spend on this. I really want to, but I do need to find a way to develop new clients, and I just don't have the time because
that's why you hire Sean Smith to use his for you.
I know I'm supposed to work with Sean Smith, but I have to write a book. I have to give him something to help him start, and I haven't had the time to do that, unfortunately.
As someone who tried to build a website with you, I recall all too well how this works.
So
yeah, but I just, this might be just exactly what I need. And if I came up with like a little splash of saying, here's what I do, come see, and this might be more in my wheelhouse and something I can do quickly.
Yeah, and so what you do is the workflow is you save this trigger, right? Because it's an ideal trigger for you. You save it as an automatic setup to send it to your email inbox. So you will only action on high value opportunities, right? And so if you look at the frequency, it's not going to be as high, but you don't need high frequency, you need high quality.
Yes.
And so once that comes in, then you action on it, and then off you go and do the rest of your daily workflow. And the second thing that I want to talk about is the marketing piece that you can do with this. So you can actually generate a list of these companies, right? Okay, 500 is a lot. I'm just going to go towards, let's say in the past month only. Generate a list of these companies, and now you have a tight 17 that you can then download the names of these companies in a CSV and then upload it to a LinkedIn campaign manager to then get your brand and messaging out in front of the people from these companies that are going to then be on LinkedIn.
Define LinkedIn campaign manager. What does that mean?
It's a marketing tool that LinkedIn offers to then market towards LinkedIn, people on LinkedIn.
You mean spam their inboxes?
No, you can have an ad pop up. I mean, you've seen ads on LinkedIn around company, like, this is an ad. But that ad would only go to those companies that you've predefined in Zapyrus.
So you can throw an ad at
this is like account-based targeted marketing.
What is their minimum purchase? Do you know?
I've no idea. You can go as 10. Yeah, that's LinkedIn's problem. That's not. We don't work with LinkedIn.
Don, do you know the answer? Is it practical for someone as small as Nelly? Sean Smith.
Generally speaking, LinkedIn advertising is really, really expensive. But there are a number of ways to use LinkedIn effectively to create organic. And that's what I focus on. I don't give LinkedIn any more money than I have to. And so I focus on helping people develop organic strategies rather than telling them they need to spend more money. This Zapirus being the exception to that, and because it it allows you to target so carefully exactly the kind of companies that you want to be talking to. And I haven't found any other tool that does that. I mean, I have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and that does allow you to do segmenting, but it really is not focused on the medtech industry. And their categorization of people being in medical device manufacturing is wildly wrong.
Right. It's not even that anymore. Now it's medical device equipment.
Yeah, it's right. So it's medical device.
Tragic what they did. I know it's terrible. For
And
those of you who don't pay attention to the chat, while Sean spoke, 2 people asked Kevin for one-on-one time, and Kevin replied with 3 links, including a way to book time with him. So those of you who want a deeper dive and seeing if this works for them personally.
Yeah, and feel free to connect with me online. We put out a bunch of helpful resources for free, like all the time. And my booking link's always in my profile. And I can help you connect with someone from my team that can help answer questions as well. But our blog here, we designed it to be very actionable as a resource for you guys. So, we help you understand the advantages between hyper-personalized outreach versus generic, understand the difference between MedTech clinical trial opportunities versus pharma. Here's the MedTech report that I spoke about. So this is all data from Zapirus. So it'll give you an understanding of the trends in the past couple of years and how that plays out into the next year. It splits, number of funded companies by stages. So you can see off of last year, that startup and scale up realm, is rich in funding. So if you're
Kevin,
going after
given that Canada is an American adversary, I don't know if you would consider coming to California in May. I think you'll find good conversations and folks who want to engage with you. So if that's in your consideration set and you don't hold the administration against us too.
Hop, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks.
Thanks. Good seeing you, Joe. And
Likewise.
Sean.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah, I go down there all the time for conferences. So
well, the other thing is we want to make sure that the 10X conference is covered in Zapirus. So that would note that. I'll send it.
We'll chat about that.
if you're free next week, we have a fan favorite, and that's Michelle Lott. She'll be talking about commercialization pitfalls. I could easily see where you would have something to add to that conversation, Kevin. So thank you. And to all you Valentines out there, I'm looking at you, Andre. Happy Valentine's Day. Make it a special weekend with those people that you love. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.